Anything with potential for great purpose carries with it potential for great pain. Be very careful who you give your heart to, because when you give your heart to somebody in relationship, there is potential for intimacy. But along with the potential for intimacy comes the potential for rejection, comes the potential not only for great love, not only great comfort, but the potential for great conflict. And it can hurt your heart when you see the potential in someone, but they don't see the potential in themselves. There's nothing more painful. Have you ever seen somebody start to throw their life away, throw their gift away, throw their future away, throw their talent away, and you want to shake them and tell them, you got so much potential. If I had your potential, I mean, some of y'all, if I was as smart as you, I would have started my own university and my own educational system. There's nothing more frustrating than when you see potential in someone that they can't see in themselves, especially if they're your child, especially if they're your spouse. There's nothing more frustrating, which helps me to understand why Peter did what he did next, because he saw the potential in the ministry of Jesus. It's just starting to get good. It's just starting to go forward. Jesus, we're about to get you on Joe Rogan. You're about to sell a lot of books. It's about to be amazing. And now you want to die. So he does something when he hears Jesus prophesy his pain that we can understand. He pulled him aside and began to rebuke him, which is way above your pay grade, by the way, to tell Jesus how to do his job. And we all do it all the time. We tell God how he ought to be raising our kids. We tell God who he ought to be blessing that deserves it and who he ought to punish a little bit because they deserve it. We tell God all the time things that are above our pay grade. Now, Peter sees the potential of Jesus' ministry. And Jesus starts prophesying about the pain he will endure on the cross. And he says something that just, I don't know, maybe you've said this before. He said, never. Put the scripture back up, please. It's so important. I need you to see it. Because that word never in Greek is a word that they use right there that Peter uses that is almost arrogant. He says never, Greek ume, which is a double negative, which means it's not even grammatically correct. But what Jesus has just said and predicted is going to happen is so ridiculous and different than Peter's plan and expectation for what Jesus is supposed to do that he says, ume, never, no never. It's like, he says, never, no never, this will never happen to you, never. Now you gotta be very careful what you say never about in this life. You gotta be very careful what you say never, because honestly, the moment you get never out of your mouth, I think God starts to laugh because he knows your future. I used to say never all the time about parenting before I became a parent. I would see a family disciplining their kids and I would think they were being a little harsh. And I would say things or think things like, I will never scream at my kids like that, because what good does it do to scream at your kids and correct a behavior that you find undesirable with an equally repulsive behavior? It certainly doesn't set an example of adult maturity. No, when I discipline my kids, I will discipline them in a way that shows them that although their behavior may be unacceptable, their character and identity as a child of God is secure, and so is my love. I'll never yell at my kids. Y'all, I yell at my kids so much in the house these days. If you think I yell in this pulpit, you ought to see me without a microphone. Oh my God, that's how I prepare to yell to you, is yelling at them. That's how I do my vocal warm-ups, just yelling all over the house. Usually I'm yelling at them to stop yelling, and I'm a hypocrite, but I can't help it. Because what you say, be very careful who you judge at their low moment. You might be judging somebody right now for the battle that you're about to fight next month. Be very careful how you judge people, Be very careful how you say, oh, well, I just don't understand people who are depressed. After all, there's so much to be grateful about. And rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. And yeah, it's cool that you've got a Pinterest kind of faith right now. But something might happen in your life that knocks you off balance to the point that your stable self becomes a little bit wobbly for a little while. And you're going to want to make sure that you haven't judged people for things that you don't currently struggle with, because it might happen in your house. Amen. I feel like the Lord is saying to some of you, never. Say never. Never. And you live in it sometimes where you're living with a type of pain that you thought would never be possible for you. If nothing else, the resurrection of Jesus Christ challenges our conception of what's possible. I never saw a dead guy get up from the ground before. If that can happen, if a stone that big can roll away, maybe God can do the impossible for me too. Just because I've never seen it doesn't mean it's not possible. Great potential in the resurrection power of Jesus Christ, but with great potential comes great pain. And that's what's difficult for us to understand, because just like the greatest possible thing happened, sometimes the thing that you said never about knocks on your door. Oh, that'll never happen in my marriage. I would never let it. And then sometimes never shows up in your body. And sometimes it shows up in your emotions. And sometimes it shows up in the unexpected ways that other people treat you. Jesus knew so much. That's an understatement. He told Peter at that supper that they had, remember when they were passing around the bread, and he said, this is my body broken for you. This is on the Thursday before he goes to die. So he knows what's coming, and he knows how they're going to respond. And he knows that Peter has great potential, not only to do great things, but to make great mistakes. He knows that the potential for great faith comes packaged with the potential for great fear and failure. So he says it. So don't think that God is some kind of optimist that makes promises that you will never experience pain. Instead, Jesus looks straight into the face of pain and says, all y'all, this is the modern Charlotte translation of the Bible, all y'all are going to fall away. All y'all are going to deny me. All y'all, one of you is going to betray me, but all y'all are going to run. And you know, Peter said something. I want to put it on the screen. Verse 31, please. Mark chapter 14. He said emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. I would never be addicted to that. No, I would never. I asked a preacher one time, do you ever doubt the Bible? Because it's very complicated to believe some of the stuff in there. And if you don't think that, you haven't read it. So don't look at me like that at all. You just read the verses that were easy. But without cutting pages out, there are some very difficult things to understand, comprehend, and put your faith in. I said, do you ever have to preach the Bible, but you have a hard time believing it yourself? Yeah, he said, no, never. Never. He's out of the ministry today. There's something about accepting your potential for weakness and your potential for failure that makes you resilient when it happens. There's something about being caught off guard. You know, this kind of hope that a lot of people have, like, oh man, I hope nothing bad ever happens to me. I hope, give me my basket. It's a plastic hope. It's pretty, but it's empty. It's hollow. When Paul said in Romans that this hope that comes in the glory of God does not put us to shame, he's not talking about an optimistic, unrealistic plastic Pinterest hope. It's not the kind of hope that expects for God to dust off your life and put you on a trophy case so that you can be seen and admired but never tested or tried. It's not that kind of hope. And I saw an image of this kind of hope, and then I saw another kind of hope. And this hope isn't real pretty, but it's been through something. This is a hard-boiled hope. Come on, touch somebody, say, I got a hard-boiled hope. Come on, Gaston, touch somebody, say, I got a hard-boiled hope. It means that it's been through something. And even if the shell gets cracked, and even if it gets dropped, and even if it goes down to the bottom, and even if the shell gets damaged, what's on the inside has substance. So it's not a hope that's based on what's on the outside. It's not bright. It's not shiny. It's not naive. This is a grown-up hope. This is a hope that's been boiled. This is a hope that's been through the fire. This is a hope that's been through what I thought I'd never go through. But I came out 3 days later shouting about the victory with the keys of death, hell, and the grave. Don't make a mistake to think that I'm praising God because I've never been through any pain. I'm praising God because on the other side of the pain, I found a purpose that was greater than what I went through. It's not that I never felt it. It's that my faith got me through it. It's not that I was never buried. It's just that resurrection happens when I believe. Come on, give him a shout if you got it. My hope is in the result. My hope is in the outcome, and the outcome has already been proven. And so whatever pain I'm going through right now has the potential to become power. He already showed me that on the cross. Calm down, Furtick, you got guests. See, it's one thing to understand that he paid the price for the penalty of my sin, and he did. But his cross shows me far more than what to do with the penalty of my sin. It shows me what to do with the pain of my life. It shows me how to take suffering and persevere through it, so that the perseverance can convert into character, so that my hope can be hard-boiled, so that I will have a confidence not in circumstance, but in character. What I'm going through right now is designed to show me what I'm made of. It is meant to reveal the potential so that I can boast in the hope of the glory of God. Not boast in my strength, not boast in my willpower, not even boast in my own resilience, but there's something greater on the inside of me. The same spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives in me. It means that every situation in my life is subject to the resurrection power of Jesus Christ. And if the situation doesn't change, that's okay, because my hope is not built on externals. Hey, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video or live stream, and share this video with a friend. And don't forget, you can join me live every Sunday. Thanks again for watching.